Welcome back to Burn the Ship, the podcast we connect entrepreneurs to professionals to help you go all in on your business. I'm your host, Ezra Brown. Without further ado, I'm going to allow my guest to introduce himself.
How's everybody doing out there? My name is John Cannizzo. I'm the owner of Roof Shark. We're located in Elmwood Park, New Jersey.
I got you. Yeah, John, tell us a little bit. So Roof Shark, man, roofing industry, it's you get into it, it's hard to stay around because, it's a lot of down here. I don't know if it's the same up there for you guys. There's a ton of roofing companies. So you get good or you don't stay around long. But kind of how'd you get into the roofing world, and kind of tell us a little bit about Roof Shark.
Okay. Well, Roof Shark's actually a pretty new company. We've been around since January of 2024. So I'm only going into my second year.
Awesome.
I've been involved in construction for basically my whole life. I've had other businesses in the past, but I've had partnerships. This is actually my first my first solo venture here. So
Congratulations.
thanks.
Awesome. So yeah, and then in the roofing space, and you coming from construction background, was that all just coming from, what kind of elaborate a little bit on that? What all experiences you had in that world?
So I was actually a union pipe fitter for 10 years.
Okay.
So I did that until I was about 29, 30 years old, and then I started a general contracting company about 10 years ago. And just kind of been, I've always had partners. It just never really worked out. So yeah, last year was when I decided to just go into business for myself, and just try to rock out now. The way so we've always been doing like mostly exterior work, so roofing, siding, windows, masonry, things like that. And I actually, when I decided to fully go into roofing was because most of my guys really excelled at roofing. It was something that I felt like I could really, dive in head first. And I actually discovered a guy named Dimitri from Roofing Insights, and I started basically following his guidance and things like that, and that's what led me to even call it Roof Shark. Decided to focus on one thing and one thing only, which is roofing, basically, which is our main goal.
Right.
And yeah, and just go from there.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, so, and coming from that side of general contracting where you've kind of probably done almost all of it, from that low voltage stuff you probably weren't wanting to be around all the way to dealing with the roof stuff. Is that kind of, what did you see that was best for you to go into roofing to kind of put it all into one vertical, one niche? What was that benefit seeing that go into roofing?
So I feel like that when guys generalize too much, it's kind of like the jack of all trades, master of none. It's better to focus on one thing, and this way you can really become an expert, or even I would say even more than an expert in that field. Like you want to be top of that field. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And then what would you say for Roof Shark? What have you been doing, since 24? I know it, you're in that newer stages, but what would you say you've helped you grow the business, over the last year?
So a lot of it is just connecting with the right people, man. Getting the right marketing team, getting the right employees, just building the right team around you it's super
Absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. And then would you say, like for you, John, I know you coming out of it, you had already had a ton of connections in the space that you're in now, just kind of making sure people knew what you were doing. But have you went door knocked yourself, or you got a team that does that for you?
So I've door knocked myself, yeah. But we're not really a door knocking company.
Mm-hmm.
We prefer to, let the leads come in, and then we'll hit those leads as they come in. Um, I haven't had a lot of luck in the door knocking space, to be honest with you.
Gotcha.
We're not in the, that's more like, I feel like door knocking is more for like a storm, area. So you
Right.
guys are down in Atlanta, it's probably more of a storm.
Yeah.
We're more like,
Absolutely.
we're more retail based, we're more retail focused.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's why I asked, just because that's the more roofing that we're familiar with here. Is we got a ton of door knockers. You'll see a neighborhood over here in Buckhead, and you'll see 10 different trucks, with people dropped off going around knocking doors. So it's always interesting to kind of see how you guys grow your businesses differently in different areas. But what would you say, and I guess out of the referral base, I mean, what would you say that's just a testament to how you guys handle your clients, or what would you say that how that you're getting in that business?
So yeah, so I would say 50% of my business is probably, just through referrals. Since I have been in the construction industry a long time, I still get those phone calls. Hey, John, can you do this? Can you do that?
Right.
I would say a big part of it is also BNI. I don't know if you ever heard of that, but
Absolutely. I'm in BNI here.
okay, nice. So yeah, BNI, I get a lot of referrals from there, and then it's just Google and Thumbtack and Yelp, basically to try and fill in the gaps.
I hear you. No, that makes sense. That makes sense because and then about as well as I do as being in BNI. They say givers gain, but I mean it really does work. If you're really out there and you're kind of giving people that same ear to listen to what they need and try to help them out along the way, they'll definitely do the same for you. To where some people that are in your BNI, somebody's like, I need a roof, and they're like, I know exactly, I know the guy John at Roof Shark can definitely help you out. And then me, I do merchant service credit card process, and they're like, I want to be on the top of their mind for the payment side. So it's very similar in that same sense, to where we use that same community. And do you do any other networking besides BNI?
I've tried chambers of commerce, things like that. There's other networking groups, but I feel that BNI is you get the most out of it, I think, out of all those
Right.
other groups.
Yeah, absolutely. Just because you're paying to be there, so you might as well help out who the people around you. You know what I mean? And you got to work to hit your numbers, common goals, type things. That makes sense. And what would you say is that biggest piece of the networking that's helped? Other than obviously the referral side, but what's the networking helped out for you? In this year of business.
So the reason I just want to touch on why I think BNI works too. I think
Yeah,
BNI
yeah, absolutely.
BNI works well, I think, because the structure, the way it's designed, it gives people an incentive to help each other out. And
Right,
like I said, the other networking groups where there's no accountability. Like you can show up when you want, or not show up. And that plays a big part in that. If you have to dedicate yourself every whatever day it is, Tuesday or Wednesday, every week, 6:45 in the morning, you're with other business like-minded people that are dedicated to their business.
absolutely.
Um, yeah, man. And then the other part is just trying to do a spectacular job, give their customer a five-star experience.
Right.
Um, Whereas they'll think of you and refer you to their friends and family when they might need some work done.
Right. No, that's completely that's I mean that's pretty much how they say that's what when you go through the CEUs they give us, that's kind of what they tell you, essentially looking in that and then looking at it, because I'm pretty green into that side of it. I've been in business a year and a half myself, but luckily I'm in a business where we've helped start BNI chapters and do a bunch of networking stuff, to where it wasn't like I had to go into it blindly, but it was definitely learning as you go too, because it's definitely learning that people do want to help you, especially if you're going to be there and be in front of them. They do want to help you and they want to see you do good. It's not a complete competition, you know what I mean? That's more between you and your best friends that you grew up with, or somebody that's in your office working against you or working with you, for a common goal. But you're also you want to beat each other, that competitive nature you have. And you know with that, and then what would you say is like one of those things that you kind of struggle with? Because I know it, networking and stuff like that helps a ton. But would you say one of those things that you struggle with growing the business over the past year? What's one of those things been?
I think the hardest thing about roofing is because it's so competitive. Is where you're paying bunch of money for leads, and then if you don't convert those leads, right, you're losing money. So it's that's I think I would say that's the toughest part of the business for sure. Where all that money into marketing is, you got to convert it. It's either put up or basically put up or shut up.
Right, and what do you say is like that biggest factor in converting those leads? Whether it be the type of person that's calling in, or on something on y'all side that y'all have that does convert them. What is that? What's it look like for that?
So I mean, just the sales process is very, very important. Where where you show up to a customer's house and you look professional, and you're giving a professional presentation, and you got to build the value because there's a lot of guys out there that are they're just going in and trying to undercut people, and they're just I don't see how they're making money that way and how they're gonna be sustain. It's not gonna be sustainable over time. So a lot of
Right.
these guys that are undercutting people, they're not gonna be in business for a long time. You know what I
Right.
mean? So those warranties that they're giving you, all that stuff that they're giving you, you might as well just throw it out the window because they're not going to be in business for a long time if they're going in so cheap, or they're cutting corners in
Right.
certain areas where you're not going to
Right.
see. You see shingles out, shingles off, shingles on, but you're not going to see the little details that we're going to put in, and we're going to take that
Right.
time to do the job the right way.
Right. There's gonna be a leaky pipe boot somewhere where they're going through, or there ain't gonna be no flashing under somewhere. Yeah,
There you go,
absolutely.
man. So you're roofing, bro.
A little bit, man, a little bit. I've come from a construction background, so I come from that type of family. I'm just
Okay.
now in the sales world.
Okay.
But no, those things do matter though, because we see it a ton down here. Because it's like the area we're in Atlanta, we're right on the metro outskirts, so it's tons of neighborhoods, and there's we ride down the road, we see 20 different roofing companies right now. If I ride down, a 5 mile stretch of road, just out and about, and that's one of the things, in BNI you hear about it. When you give your 60 seconds, I think about my roofer all the time whenever I hear stuff like this, and he talks about all those things, like because they do a good job, all those things everybody says, but you never know until they actually work on something of yours. Vice versa. Like John, somebody in your BNI didn't trust you until they worked with you, and then they realize that you guys did a really good job, and now you get referred out by their people. But it takes them giving you that trust and breaking down that wall to get there. And once you do show it, then people don't hesitate to help you out.
Yep. Absolutely, man.
And and saying that, like one of those things, saying that you struggle with that, or what you struggle with, God, I can't think of the word. I'm kind of running loose on it. But
I would say marketing spend is the hardest thing to be. You got to make sure you're converting on those leads every day. You know what I mean? It's just
right,
you can put yourself in a hole quickly if you're spending all that
yeah,
money on advertising and you're not bringing any money in. You know what I mean? It's kind of like
and what would you say those cost per leads, that cost per lead looks like for, what's that ROI back on it? You making good investment whenever you do sign that deal, making, whatever that is on that investment, you making good ROIs on those investments.
right. So in my area, I think it differs in every area, but we're paying about $300 to $500 per lead
Mm-hmm.
for roof replacement, and then customer acquisition cost is probably like around $1,000 per person. So, you know, so basically, once you do that roof, then you're paying you paid $1,000 just to get that customer. So then
Right.
anything after that, obviously after labor and materials, then is going to be your net profit.
Okay. And then what do you see, the positives of this past year? Where do you see that kind of trend going for you guys over the next 5 years?
So I mean, my first year in business, we were able to gross 1.2 million, which is pretty good for first year.
It's great.
Um, so I mean, I'm going for 3 million this year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, just and then I think the most important thing is to just keep continue learning, continue growing. I joined a group called RSRA.
Okay.
For any other roofers out there, I would, highly recommend it. I think it's a really good, it's like a networking group for roofers, all through
Mm-hmm.
Zoom. There's a guy named Adam Bensman. He calls himself the roof strategist.
Okay.
And yeah, there's like everything from sales courses to mentorships to, all the roofers in there are more than happy to help people, the other roofers in the group. And I think it's a bunch of roofers that are actually, there and want to do the right thing for the customer too, which is really important. We're all like, super honest, super, you know, we want to do the right thing. So
Absolutely. And then what's that group called again? So we can link it down below too.
RSRA, so it's
Be-
the Roofers Solar Reform Alliance.
Beautiful.
That's what it
Thank you.
stands for. Yeah.
That's awesome. And then John, what for you? What does John want to do when say 10 years from now you got this thing purring like a kitten, and there's you got 10 people, 10 of you in the office, and you get to ride around? What does John want to do with his time? Whether it be a family, traveling, kids, golf, whatever it is.
So I mean, I haven't been able to start a family yet, but that's definitely something I would want to do in the future for sure.
Absolutely.
And just if, once I get it running like a kitten, man, I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so, maybe start another business or, just take some time, ride my motorcycle here and there. And
Yeah. Motorcycle. So you a Harley guy or a
actually,
enduro bikes
no,
motorcycle?
I got a BMW S1000 RR.
Oh,
Uh,
life go fast.
yeah, it's nice, and I like to hit the track once in a while. So I take it to the track and we go around the track around here in Jersey.
That's
And,
awesome. No, that's sick. So then, last thing I got for you, John, especially this is going to be, very hit home for you, especially just because you're a fresh a year into business. Is what was it like for that burn the ship moment for you? Whenever you went all in and burned the ship and started Roof Shark. You left being in contracting where you probably had comfortable living. I know you had partners and things of that nature, but you're probably making a pretty good living. It's like, screw it, I'm gonna go all on my own and start something up. What was that? What was that emotion?
oh wow. Okay. So to be honest, I didn't know what burn the ship actually meant
Yeah,
until you just kind of like laid it out for me.
yeah,
And yeah, the burn the ship moment is I think it's super important to burn the ship because if you have a plan B, that gives you an out. You know what I'm saying? So I think you got to be 110% focused on your goal ahead of you. Don't have a plan, that plan B, forget about it, man. Just focus 110% on your goal and don't give yourself anything to fall back on. And this way you got to succeed. You know what I mean?
absolutely.
So yeah.
But yeah, no, John, appreciate you coming on and joining us on Burn the Ship today. Tell the people where to find you at, and then we'll have your stuff linked down below as well.
All right, so roofshark.com. That's ROFSHARK.com. My phone number is 973-513-2992. And we're located in Elmwood Park, New Jersey. We do Bergen County, Passaic County, basically anywhere in North and Central Jersey, some parts of Rockland County, New York as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. Once again, John, thank you so much, and burn the ship.